It's 6:38. You're watching and listening to Breakfast with Stephen and Anne across the UK, on your TV, on your radio and online.
Now, let's take a look at today's front pages. Well, battle for Ukraine leads the Times. Explosions were heard in Kiev as Russian forces advanced on the capital in the most devastating assault the city has faced since the German invasion of 1941.
Well, The Guardian reports that Russian forces have tightened their stranglehold on the Ukrainian capital and carried out assaults on the country's Black Sea coast.
The Daily Express looks at the brave battalions of Ukrainian civilians that have joined the armed forces in a defiant stand to protect their homeland.
The Eye says Ukraine is bracing for devastating new Russian attacks with superweapons.
The Independent also looks at the battle for Kiev as Vladimir Putin called on Ukrainians to help Russians overthrow their government.
Yeah, not much chance of that. The Daily Mail leads with the fearless Ukrainians have put up an astonishing show of defiance against the Russian troops.
The Daily Telegraph claims Western leaders fear I'm not saying it right now this morning, Vladimir Putin will unleash a new weapon on Ukraine after fierce resistance slowed the Russian army's advance.
The Mirror says 18,000 machine guns have been handed to Ukrainian civilians who are volunteering to fight for the capital.
And The Sun praises the bravery of the people battling to save their capital city.
Well, let's go through those papers in a bit more detail. Broadcasters Petrie, Hosken and Clare Muldoon are here. Good to see you both this morning.
Morning.
Petrie, just before we get into the papers, I was just saying earlier on that it's very difficult to look at all of this and to actually understand what it is like to be in that conflict, in a theatre of war. You've been there, you've seen the horror, haven't you?
Yeah, and honestly, I literally could cry right now because...
Where were you?
I was in Bosnia over a 2-year period, 94, end of 93 to 96. So this has been very triggering, actually, because the buildings are very similar to those that I saw destroyed in Bosnia. The people look very similar to the people I saw destroyed there as well. And I am absolutely heartbroken for what's going on there, because war, and I wish I could use stronger words, is disgusting. What it does to people is disgusting. How it... you know, unless you've seen the devastation a bomb can cause to a human body or a bullet, you don't know it. The smell of war, the feeling of war, the fear, the uncertainty. It is the most disgusting thing. And why humanity hasn't risen above this absolutely base, revolting way of sorting out a problem, I'll never understand. But this has heartbroken me. It really, really has. And, of course, there's a fear as well that this will kick off Bosnia again.
Yeah. Because that's never settled down.
It's never settled. It's never settled. And
there are so many places in Europe where there is such tension that...
But why? I mean, how much land do you need? What is it just...
I know, that's what I can't understand.
Look at the size of Russia. I've been to Russia. I've been to Siberia. I was down in Lake Baikal near China. It borders on China and Finland. It is vast. Grow up.
Look, you said a really, you put your finger on the pulse there. You know, why can't we, as civilised societies, get on with it? The reason we can't with Putin is because he's not normal. We are dealing with such an unpredictable force that no amount of diplomacy can cut through. No. We are just sitting on the sidelines here, every single one of us, not knowing his next move.
But the last war was caused by a madman. Why can't something be done?
I agree, I'm with you.
How come a madman can rise up and take control of a country and then explore these megalomaniac...
Yeah, and they're never on the front line, these people, either, or very rarely. And this is what infuriates me, is that Biden knows better. He lost his son to a military situation. You know, Boris Johnson has never been anywhere near... I want them to just spend a day... Go to Kiev, spend a day in Kiev, and then come back and tell me that war's the only way. Try it. Spend a minute there. And if they've sensed it and felt it and saw it.
All right, let's be controversial. Is it a male thing?
Yes.
Do you think women would ever get
I don't
to
think
this point.
I don't think women would get to this point. I think it's the despot, autocratic madness of a man like Putin, who has been in power, let's not forget, for 20 years. He changed the system in Russia that would enable him to keep coming back, keep coming back,
That's
keep
what
coming
Hitler
back.
did. That's what Hitler did. He created a system whereby he could stay there forever.
Yeah.
And surely the warning signs should have been seen in their own country before even we saw them.
Yes, but, even now we've got everyone can be a reporter these days. We have phones that can record everything via video, via messaging, everything, right? We've got the Wi-Fi that can send the messages. The pictures coming through from Russia of the Russian people marching in Red Square.
Amazing.
No to war, no to war, no to war. That's never been seen.
And it wasn't just
before
in Moscow,
Russia.
was it? It was
no.
in many cities in Russia yesterday.
I mean, those people are so breathtakingly brave.
Brave.
Oh, because they're putting
Because
their lives
nobody's
on the
at
line.
war with Russia. We keep talking about the war at Russia. They're at war with Putin. The soldiers, the conscripts that may be coming forward, they've got cousins and aunts and uncles in Ukraine. They don't want to fight.
Well, they don't know what they're doing half the time. There was some footage of someone who'd been captured yesterday, a Russian soldier who looked about 18.
Yeah.
And was sort of saying, well, we didn't know where we were.
We didn't know what we were
until-
supposed to do.
We didn't even know we were in Ukraine. We thought we were just on an exercise until we were 4 hours in. Mm-hmm. It's horrific. It's horrific. Look, let's just have a quick look at the front of The Guardian. Kiev on the brink, it says, Claire.
Yep, and there's a photojournalist picture there of a young boy with a phone in his hands, like I was saying earlier. Every single paper is covering this clearly, but it's the pictures that are drawing me from a humanitarian point of view. There is this loss, this hopelessness from the Ukrainians, especially in Kiev, as that is a key strategic point for the Russian invasion of Kiev and indeed the Ukraine. We saw pictures yesterday of people, the Ukrainians, in railway tracks, underneath the stations and everything. It's shocking in this day and age that this is what's happening. Kiev on the brink. Russian forces tighten grip on Ukrainian capital and attack coast in bid to topple the government. It's just shocking. And I wonder how long it will be before the triggering of Article 5 of the Washington Treaty, which means that any step over into NATO land, a stray bullet over into NATO land, it will erupt. We will be in the middle of World War III.
Washington has already reiterated their commitment to Article 5.
And Article 5, let's just be honest, has not been triggered ever historically until after 9/11. That's the only ever time the 30 member states of NATO got together and triggered this.
How likely do we think that is to happen?
Well,
it almost seems inevitable, doesn't it?
It does feel.
I don't want to say it will happen
inevitable.
because, for months I've been talking Putin's playing cat and mouse. It'll never happen. He's getting off, for want of a better word, over all of this. 2 weeks ago, we were sitting here and it was the red flag waving against the breach of World War II, and yet here we are.
I don't know if he's quite mad enough to trigger a conflict on that scale.
I don't know. I wish we would stop forgiving him for being mad in a way. Everyone's going, he's just bonkers, he's mad. This is just pure evil, what's happening. And for what reason, best known to Putin.
Only to him.
Only to him. But it's the haunted look in I don't know if I watched. I mean, I obviously haven't taken my eyes off it, but as an act of self-harm, really. But the people coming across from Ukraine into Poland, it's the look in their eyes that I saw again in Bosnia. There's just
nothing.
Loss.
Yeah. Yes, but
it's loss.
What struck me when they're getting off the train and they've arrived in Poland and they've got baby buggies, they've got wheelie suitcases, they've got children with little pom-pom hats on. They're us. Except that geographically they have been born right bang next to Russia, and it's always been a problem for them. But they are us.
What does Russia do with people who are displaced within the Ukraine? Claire and I were talking about this earlier. Because what is he going to set up internment camps? Because the Ukrainians are not going to go quietly.
Well, that's one of the key problems, though, isn't it? And a lot of the analysts have been discussing this, saying even if he successfully sort of militarily takes Ukraine, he can't hold it. How does he hold it?
Well, I mean...
Well, who's supporting him?
Well, Belarus.
Belarus?
Yeah.
But is bulging borders on with Poland, which had its own system, its own troubles last summer because of this. And then obviously China, Pakistan. Imran Khan paid a visit, did he not, to Russia the other day to sign an energy deal? I think we need to hit Russia hard, and the only way to do that is by the money.
Look, if we were brave enough, we should be hitting China as well. I mean, we really should, because China said, because we won't get their wheat and all of that from Russia, or Ukraine, indeed. And China said, it's OK, we'll lift our quota. I mean, look, China is part of this. Whether they veto a vote or not, they are part of this.
But China's going to, if we do that, China is going to respond in some way, shape or form, which perhaps we could say we can't handle that at the moment.
Well,
we're not handling anything at the moment.
We're not handling it at the moment.
But we're not doing anything very much, are we?
And who can ignore that plea by Zelensky saying, look, we're on our own here, where are you?
Yeah, but what do we do? What do we do? If we send
But we're not
in,
sending them in because we're scared to. Let's be honest about it. It's nothing to do with geopolitics. Because if it was another country in Europe, there would be other forces employed to protect them.
But we're right to be scared of yes. Russia and Putin and his finger on a nuclear trigger.
We are. I'm not saying we're not right. I'm saying let's call it for what it is. Let's stop talking about this as if it's some geopolitical, we can't get involved because they're not NATO. That is nonsense. We're not getting involved because we're too scared to.
Doesn't this feel...
if we accept that premise...
Doesn't this feel a bit like America must have felt like during the war, at the very beginning of the war? We were pleading with America to come in and help us. And they sort of wanted to, but didn't until they were drawn in themselves.
Until they were drawn in.
Is this what's going to happen?
I think so. I really, really think so. I think we diplomatically removed our diplomats from Ukraine, and I think that was sending a clear sign out to Putin to say, look, we're taking this seriously, but also we're taking our own people out because we need to see the vista. We need to see actually what's going on. Politically, geographically, with regards to the people there and the displacement of people, with all the borders that are going on, and the movements in, we had to see what was going on. Now we do. I think the only response will be if Putin does anything else. I think we'll be going in.
But I tell you what,
Can I just jump in at that point and say, ladies, we'll catch up with you a little bit later on. Thank you. This will be the latest video we've got from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He's posted this on Twitter from inside Kiev. Let's see if we can show you that. And what we haven't got a direct translation, a sound translation, so I can tell you he's saying lately there's been a lot of fake information online that I'm calling on our army to lay down arms and to evacuate. I am here. We will not lay down the weapons. We will defend our state because our weapon is truth. And the truth is that this is our land, our country, our children, and we will defend all of that. Glory to Ukraine.
That was something that we were saying earlier, wasn't it, Petrie, about the how can we trust sources and the videos that are coming out?
Fighting the disinformation.
And Petrie quite rightly said the first casualty of war is the truth.
No, always is. Always is. Look, we'll